People are gonna be genderless.
Baby, we're gonna be shish kebabs. We're now gonna be identifying as pieces of food. We are done. We're cooked, literally and figuratively.
Welcome back to Delete That, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged, spiraling is expected, and existential crises are just a casual Tuesday.
I'm Courtney, your favorite emotionally unavailable gamer girl who somehow always chill even while questioning the fabric of the universe.
And I'm Josh, a gay pop culture obsessive with a fear of death and a strong opinion about credit scores. Today, we're diving into the void.
Let's talk about death, baby. Okay, so before we get to the topics of the crazy stuff, let's talk our normal. What kind of music are we listening to this week? What do you got?
So, I've been down a rabbit hole with Luther Vandross.
Okay.
Totally unexpected because last week I'm listening to heavy metal. This week I'm listening to soulful R&B.
Sounds about like our life, always unexpected.
And mainly because I was listening to Kendrick Lamar and he has
Lovely.
that song with SZA called Luther.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
And Luther Vandross, absolutely not.
What is happening? You need a cough drop, baby?
Absolutely not.
You can start it over if you want. Why are you listening?
I'm
Start it with why you're listening to Luther.
Every time we go to start recording this podcast, suddenly I got a ghost dick in my mouth.
Y'all, these podcasts are maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes long, and it takes us 4 hours to record one episode. Just because we can't stop laughing, hacking.
I gotta take a sore throat and cough lozenge just to record a podcast.
We also have no internet in our house right now. Y'all ever gone on no internet?
For 24 hours. I'm starting to feel like Laura Ingalls Wild out here. Why are we always bringing her up? Like, we can't even let that bitch rest in peace.
We really can't. We're like, come on, bitch. Come live on this earth with us. We've been putting ourselves in corners just for fun.
The opening of that song is a sample of Luther Vandross,
Uh-huh.
where he's singing, "If This World Were Mine," or
Yep.
whatever. That's a song by Luther Vandross.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, I went down a rabbit hole, was listening to him, and he's just so good.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's one of the best, like, R&B singers of all time. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
it's him and Marvin Gaye as far as that goes. So anyways, I've been listening to "If This World Were Mine." That's one of his songs. "Never Too Much." Just all of his hits, all of his classics. And that's what I fell asleep listening to last night, was just him soulful singing me to sleep.
I love that, actually. I am still on the rock and roll dream right now, following all the rock things. I've actually been listening to Tool this week, though, because I've been a Tool fan for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and saw them in concert last year. Honestly, one of the best concerts you can ever go to if you are someone who likes visuals and you also like rock music. That concert was by far the coolest concert I think I'll ever go to, for one, because the visuals are just so insane. And that's what Tool's all about. Their music is all about visuals and like the sound of the music per se versus the like words.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they have words in their songs, but you hear so much of the instruments that you don't even realize that words are even being said because you're listening to the music. So I've been listening to them. Numa is my absolute favorite song by them. It's a like an 11-minute song. When I heard that one in person, I legit cried, sat down in the chair and cried the entire time. And it's not even that it's a sad song. It's just the fact that it's so like powerful. It's so good. That I literally it's an emotional song for me just because I love it so much. And also it got me through. That was when I found that song, it was 2020 COVID era. So like, I hooked onto that and held on as hard as I could. That and Flood by Tool are probably my favorite songs right now that I'm running through. So I'm still on the rock kick. I love rock. It's
Period.
just the best way to, release them endorphins that you have trapped. I feel like you can just really scream it out.
Yeah. No, honestly. Today we have a treat for you guys. We're going to be talking about something that everyone has to deal with.
Yep.
Life and death.
Yep.
And there's a lot of power in both of those.
Absolutely.
And so I know personally, I used to never even think about either.
Mm-hmm.
I just used to float through life, enjoying my time,
What a time that must have been.
not even questioning anything, just, just being present, being here, loving life, and just waking up every day and doing whatever the day brought to me. And it was like one day I woke up and everything just changed.
Yep.
Like for no reason, no warning, nothing. It was just like one day I suddenly became conscious.
Okay, so before we keep going, do you think you can remember like what age that was that happened?
Well, to be honest, bitch, it wasn't until I met you.
Why did I not want that to be the answer though?
It literally wasn't until I met you, and it was because you were talking about like just losing people in your life.
Uh-huh.
You've experienced a lot of loss.
I experienced death starting at the age of 7.
Right.
So my consciousness woke up at 7. I'm gonna
Hmm.
be honest. So that's why I ask when did it happen for you so they can kind of understand. We have two different narratives of when we started to realize what death and life is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it wasn't until I was like 22, 23,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't even say necessarily then, it was more like 25.
Yeah, and it's not that you didn't know what death was.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, it's just the fact that you had never gone through traumatic events of death or people losing people. I have a really big family. I come from a really big family. So
Hmm.
unfortunately, that means you're going to go through death a lot more than most people. And I absolutely have. So for sure, it is definitely, it's crazy that some people get to just go through life and not know much about it until their 20s and their 30s. I love that for people. I wish that could have been my case, but obviously it wasn't.
It was just one of those things that like we didn't talk about as a family.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, and this goes back to, being with my brother and stuff. It was just not something that we ever discussed.
Absolutely.
Like we never had that conversation of like, you know, by the way, one day you'll die, or by the way, one day I'll die, or, it was just never a conversation in our household.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really thought of it. When I was young, I didn't go to any funerals.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went to maybe one, and it was like a friend of a friend, and it wasn't even people I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that was their way of kind of exposing me to it. But at the same time, because it was something I'd never done, nothing I'd ever seen, I didn't really have any questions. I didn't really care.
Of course.
So it was just kind of like I
And
went,
also, you probably didn't understand what was happening either. Like,
right.
y'all were just there. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? As a kid, you don't really process it unless someone sits you down and talks to you about it. So, yeah, I can understand that you're probably just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go with you. Yeah, I'll be there.
exactly. So, yeah, so that wasn't ever really a thing for me. But when I got into my, mid 20s and meeting you and you talking about all the loss that you've experienced and things like that, it just really started making me think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started like realizing, like, okay, well, my mom's getting older.
Yeah.
Like, eventually one day I'll lose my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow that turned into, well, eventually one day it's gonna be me.
Yep.
In sync, it's gonna be me.
It's gonna be me.
No, literally.
Like, and that, I don't know why, but for some reason that just absolutely terrified me. Like,
Yeah.
learning and thinking about, like, okay, well, one day you will cease to exist.
Mm-hmm. And we won't even know it. That's the even
And
crazier part.
we won't even know it. Or will we? Like, afterlife?
Yep.
Is there one? What happens? Like, there's so many different ways you can go with that. Obviously, you have religion and the way
Mm-hmm.
people believe that. And then you have like science,
Yep.
all of it.
And there's no right or wrong because we don't know right or wrong technically. Nobody knows what happens after death. That is one thing in this world that we will always have the same of is none of us know what happens after. We know
Hmm.
that there is a death, but we don't know what happens after. And then that's what's crazy is like that's one thing we can all agree on in this world literally is nobody knows for certain what is happening after death.
Hmm.
And that is sometimes a mind-boggling thing because I have prompted ChatGPT plenty of times to explain to me what is happening after death. And there's a lot of times where it looks out for my best interest and tells me, remember you're loved. Remember you have people here. If you need someone to talk to, reach out. Because I think it's like, girl, this is too much to be spiraling at 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's crazy because like you don't sit there and think about it until you think about it. And then when
Right.
you start thinking about it, it consumes you and it can take over your brain too much.
Exactly. So with me, my fear is dying.
Mm-hmm.
And before, I didn't ever really have any fears, like maybe trivial stuff like heights or spiders or snakes or whatever. But like now, like I would say, like my overall fear is dying. And it's because it's one, I can't control it. I don't know when, I don't know why, and I don't know what happens
Mm-hmm.
afterwards or all of that. So it freaks me out. It
So if
scares me.
given the opportunity, if you could know when and how, would you want to know?
That's terrifying too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would say no
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like then that would like change the trajectory of your life.
Absolutely.
So you would start living differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in my case, it wouldn't help me at all
Mm-hmm.
because there wouldn't be anything I could really do right now. Like, I still work at the same place. I'm still going to make the same kind of money. I'm still going to be surrounded by the same people. So it's not like I'm not like a millionaire
Yeah.
where I can be like, oh, if I know I'm dying 10 years from now, let me just hop in an airplane and go live my best life and do all the things I ever wanted to do. It
Absolutely.
wouldn't really change anything for
Of
me.
course.
So I would rather be oblivious to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, and you know this, I've always said this, if for some reason I were going to die, like I would rather know like ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you've been diagnosed with cancer. We think you have maybe 5 to 6 years
Mm-hmm.
as long as you respond to treatment, blah, blah, blah. Because I feel like that's comfortable because I know, like, okay, I have a time frame. I have the ability to wrap things up, to make amends, to write things down, and to do the things I want to do, say my goodbyes, whatever. So that would be more, I'd be more at peace with that as opposed to me just going for a walk one evening and then I have like a massive brain hemorrhage and just die on the street.
Which is crazy though, because that happens. Like,
Yeah.
it's so crazy that like we think of those kind of scenarios, like I wouldn't want this to happen, but yet that does happen to people. It's crazy. I was on TikTok, of course, watching videos of the trending sound that's like, I don't even know the sound, but it's they're talking about what's your favorite horror movie, and then they say like, oh, mine's the one where I got cheated on or something like that. I saw one earlier this morning that said, oh, mine is the one where my mom went with me on my bachelorette trip and we woke up the next day to her dead in her bed.
Oh, wow.
And then people in the comments, one girl put that her dad died at her wedding.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, you don't even think of things like that. You don't even think of like, could my dad or my mom die at my wedding? Or like just,
Well, we went to a wedding
yeah,
where someone lost someone like
the next day,
the
her
next
grandmother,
day.
yeah. And
God, I cannot imagine.
yeah, you're celebrating the most happiest time of your life. And then
Followed by a tragic.
one of the biggest tragedies, yeah, I can't even fathom that. That's insane. I can fathom it. I've done a lot of, I've dealt with a lot of loss, so I can fathom the fact that death does happen unprovoked and just out of the blue. So yeah, it can easily just be a day of a wedding, you know what I mean? Things like that. But it's just so like crazy to think that no, it couldn't be me, but yet something like that could always potentially happen to you.
Mm-hmm. Are you afraid of dying?
I'm not necessarily afraid of dying because I know we all have to. And
Mm-hmm.
also, it gives me comfort knowing that my family members have gone before me. I know that sounds probably crazy, but like it gives me comfort knowing that my grandma is on the other side. And like my grandma, is like my best friend, was my best friend. So it gives me comfort knowing that hopefully one day I do get to meet back up with her and also my other grandparents that I have not seen in so long. But afraid of dying? No. I'm more so afraid of not being here. And I know that sounds weird, but like, I mean, as in being here, I take in the small things of life, the smell of the earth, the sounds of the birds chirping, driving with the windows down and the sun beaming down on my skin.
Well, we're very empathetic people,
Yes.
and we really feel things heavily and very
Yeah.
deeply.
So it is definitely along those lines. I can literally be driving and I'll have the windows down, listening to a song. The wind will blow. A certain smell will hit me and it'll make me remind me of 12 years old me.
Hmm.
And it'll instantly transport me to that like time. And then that's what makes me sad about dying is I start to think, wow, there's going to be a day that I'm not here to enjoy this smell, to enjoy this sound, to enjoy this feeling. And that's where I get like spiraled and a little sad about dying because I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks because there's going to be so many other things that happen on this earth that I won't see if I'm dead. And like, that's also like, damn, what the hell? I want to see all that. I want to enjoy all of that. So, like I said, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm just more so afraid of not being here on earth anymore.
So pretty much like ceasing to exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ceasing to exist for sure.
And fading into nothingness.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably why we're also making this podcast is to at least have a little footprint in the world of us when we're not here anymore, and hopefully people can listen to it even in the future when we're gone and they can hear our takes of the world.
Well, and when I say like fading into nothingness, that's just one way people believe
Uh-huh.
or think about the afterlife. Obviously, a lot of other people think about the kingdom of heaven and so forth. So, like my question is, what does all of this mean? Like, what is the purpose? That can leave you spiraling sometimes too,
Absolutely.
especially when you start thinking about like how we got here and how it all ends
Uh-huh.
and how like we're really not in control,
Uh-huh.
and like the fact that we're even here is just a sheer miracle.
Absolutely.
So it's like a lot of people while they're here they have to find purpose.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't have purpose in life, then really you can really spiral, get addicted to drugs, suicide, I mean, you name it. So I just think it's so crazy that we managed to exist at a time where we could have just been naked eating fruit by the ocean and enjoying the waves and the sunlight and the birds chirping. And then we also could have been born, 500 years from now where we're driving flying cars and like we're doing space travel and
Uh-huh.
we have some crazy language and we're best friends with aliens.
Yeah.
But instead, we were born in the time where we have credit scores and cubicles.
You know, what a time. It's funny because we did talk about this a couple episodes ago of how we were glad that we were born in this era versus the old eras. But yeah, I agree. Like, how are we seriously on a floating rock and credit scores are what make our existence matter?
It's crazy. Like I get the whole like we have to have purpose, we have to have foundation, we need laws, we need regulation to control people. Because at the end of the day, it's about control.
Of course.
That's why there's government and that's why there's church. I mean,
Yep, I agree.
religion to me was, I don't want to say created,
Mm-hmm.
but religion was founded with the idea that, okay, we don't have all of the answers. So if we put this in a book, then this can be the foundation and this can be the reason why people choose to live and the decisions they make is for this reason, and so forth.
Absolutely. I might get some haters for this, but the Bible is just stories, baby. We don't have proof that that was all real. That those are just stories that they put in a book and then they called it the Bible. Now I get it. Everybody's gonna fight me on this. Whoever does believe so heartedly that Jesus himself wrote that book. Okay, sure, but man has interpreted it into its own words, and it is no longer what it was at the beginning of what the Bible was supposed to be. So at this point, in my opinion, the Bible is just a bunch of stories that were put together. And religion, after being through the religion outbreak that I went through in high school and whatnot, religion to me is something that people can hold on to because they don't want to think about what there could be, what else there could be. They also don't want to sit there and not have anything, and which I can understand. They don't want to have anything to not hold on to because it is scary. It is absolutely terrifying to sit here and think about death and what happens afterwards. So if you are a person that cannot even begin to think about that without losing your mind, then yes, it probably is better that you are in a religion that you can find some sort of hope to cling on to and peace to make with what is happening in this once in a lifetime life, because we don't even know if we get another chance. I mean, reincarnation, I think about that all the time. I have a question for you. This is a
Mhm.
fun question. I've asked a lot of people this. I've never asked you this. Let's say reincarnation is real. It's written down in the book. We know it is for sure real. We get to come back. But you get to choose what you're coming back as. You're not allowed to come back as a human, though. You can come back as anything you want in the world, even in space. I have had the doctor I told you about that I play on the game with. He told me he wanted to come back as a black hole.
Oh.
It is the biggest thing in the universe and the biggest thing of nothing. And he was like, I would love that. Everybody would fear me. I've had someone say they want to come back as a tree in their daughter's front yard. That way they're able to watch their grandkids and their kids grow up for the rest of their lives. Birds, people have said birds, of course, like the fastest flying birds. I'll tell you mine. Mine is a frog in the Amazon jungle, laying on a lily pad, eating all the little bugs around me because I just want the most simplest of lives to live, and that is simple for me.
For sure.
so, question again. Reincarnation is real. We know it is. You have the chance to write down before you pass away what you're coming back as. What do you choose?
I'm gonna have to say a tree
A tree?
as well, yeah. And probably like a weeping willow.
Ooh, oh, I love
Something
those.
beautiful and something that moves and the wind blows through it and it's giving me Pocahontas.
Yes.
That's what I envision.
Okay.
So it's like almost like spiritual to me because like your family members could go to that tree. It's something tangible. They could touch it. They could feel you.
It's alive.
It's
Trees are
alive.
trees are definitely alive.
It's breathing. It's feeding. It's eating. It's doing all the things. So I feel like definitely that. And then you get to live a whole other lifetime as well. Okay, so you asked me a question. I'm going to ask you a question, but first I'm going to explain myself.
Okay.
So we're going to do something called delete that thought.
Okay.
So earlier this week, wipe the whole database.
Yeah. Get the motherboard out of there, please.
So my delete that thought for this week was I was just thinking about dating.
Okay.
Always thinking about dating. Um, I'm I'm a love-centered person. I feel like my purpose here on life was to love people and to just give love because at my core that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't have anything else, I know that I have love
Mm-hmm.
to give.
Absolutely.
So just, swiping through the dating profiles and things like that, and then just laying here in my bed, and I started thinking about what about if I never meet someone and I'm, 80, 90 years old and I've gone my whole life and it's the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm sick or whatever, I know like I'm drawing near to my time,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm laying there in that bed with nobody there holding my hand and I just have to go out by myself.
Mm.
That terrifies me.
Yeah.
It's just a scary thought that like, well, and some people do go through that.
Yeah.
Some people do experience that. Some people choose to be single their whole life. Other people get married for so long and then they end up widowers or,
Mm-hmm.
their husbands die and so they have to go off by themselves,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's different because at least you did have somebody that you could look forward to seeing in the afterlife.
Absolutely.
But the idea that maybe I'll never meet anybody and I'll just end up dying alone.
Or even
That
having that one great love that did make all of it worthwhile
right.
to even go out without experiencing that. That's scary to think about. Like, you hear about all the love, like the your one true love who did it all, and you watch the movies of these great loves, and it's like, how am I supposed to experience that when I can't even meet someone who can have a conversation with me? Like, living in a world full of people who lack love or like the depth to even love another person is hard because you can't find love when
Mhm.
there is a lack of it.
Right. So, what is your delete that thought of the week?
Um, I actually have that thought a lot. The same. I will go ahead and confess to that. I lay in bed a lot thinking about, damn, I'm gonna be alone my whole life. And that's sad. And I hate that because I'm the same. I have so much love to give. And like it annoys me when, so I guess this leads into mine is wasted time. So I have so much love to give. And then it annoys me when people waste my time and especially the love that I give out. I have had so many instances of people just acting as if they are who they say they are and putting up this great facade of like, yeah, I will love you to the ends of the world. And then it can literally just be a Tuesday morning you wake up and you never hear from that person again. You're good. You're
Um,
good.
wow.
This is an emotional topic.
What are we even doing? Like,
It's okay.
sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I agree. I get emotional thinking about all of this. I get emotional talking about love. I get emotional talking about, I mean, I'm emotional thinking about all this. This topic right here of wasted time. I've literally the last 5 years I wasted time on a man that acted like he wanted to give me that great love, who said all the right things, who came into my life at a very, I was already going through trauma, like three things of trauma that were happening back to back. My grandmother had died. The guy that I was with also cheated on me. So we broke up, as well as just processing that. And then I met this new guy. And then it was 5 years of letting me down. And so, like, yeah, now sitting here, I'm like, wow, I wasted those 5 years on someone who is not even in my life anymore. Before that, it was 7 years on a meth head addict. I wasted 7 years of a life loving the wrong person. Before that, it was 4 years with my high school sweetheart. Loved him for 4 years, gave him the most unconditional of love. And I'm such the person of I forgive people too when they do things to me. I will forgive and overlook anything you do as long as you're honest with me and you come to me and you tell me. I don't forgive cheating. That's one thing I won't forgive. And I don't forgive you being abusive, but I'll forgive you for anything else. You haven't been the best person to me. That's fine. We can get through that. You haven't shown me all the love that you can give me. That's fine. We can work on that. I cannot stand someone that knows that they will never be what they need to be for the type of love that I bring, and then they waste my time in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how people can do that to people. Like, you really have to have a lack of consciousness as well as just morality. Like, I don't have the morale to not be genuine, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard when we live in a disingenuous world because people don't know how to reciprocate love or even just show love without it even being reciprocated, if that makes sense. I know a lot of people who are just not loving people. They're just mean, downright mean, and they're hateful. And so you can't be a lover if you have that kind of personality and that kind of hate inside of you because you can't show love. You don't know what love really is because you're so spiteful and hateful and mean, and the things that you say about others that just feeds into the hate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wasted time is a big thing for me. I cannot stand someone that wastes my time, and I think about that. I think that consumes my brain more than anything in my life is people wasting my time, and it's because so many people have, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't get it. I'll truly never understand people that just like people know you as a person should know if this is going to be something that I take to the end or just ride it out. And that's my thing is I'm a to the end person. I will take you to the depths of the sea if I have to. I will go to the edge of the world for you and back. I just expect the same kind of leverage. Kind of like me and you.
Right.
We didn't know how our friendship was going to end, but we've always stuck it out with each other through it all and we've always been honest with one another. And here we are 10 years strong. We rarely fight. I think we've had one fight in our friendship, and it wasn't even a fight. It was just a misunderstanding that we cleared up, and now we're just moving along. So I think it's possible people can absolutely be in your life and not waste your time, but you have to also be honest with yourself and those people.
Right. Well, and that's a very big problem in today's society and dating as a whole. I know I find myself going through this a lot. It's the same cycle over and over and over again. You match with somebody, you start talking, you're talking about the same things over and over and over again, which is fine because that's how you get to know somebody.
Of course.
But then it's like, I want to move past that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know the inner workings of your mind. Like, I need to know where you're at. I need to know what you're thinking. I need to know what you want. And like, if you start to show me signs of like you don't know, or
You don't care.
or you don't care, or the thing is when I date someone or if I enter a relationship with somebody, I'm doing it with the idea of this is my last and final. This is my forever. This is the person I'm going to marry. This is the person that I'm going to be with till the day that I die. And a lot of people don't think like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that like dating is just fun
And casual.
and casual. And
it can be when you're younger,
mm-hmm.
but like at our age, we're past that. We did that.
Yeah.
We had fun with that.
Well, I did it unbeknownst to me.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like you. Like,
Yeah.
I've had my time wasted too.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean we're 5 years later and we're still playing the same game? Like, where's the ring? Where's the commitment? Where's all of that other stuff? Because right now we're just two people claiming to love each other and we're, playing house and we're checking all the boxes, but like, we're not actually signing the paperwork. We're not putting the ring on the finger. We're not, like, those things matter to me.
Absolutely.
So totally understand where you're coming from there. Just to segue a little bit. So earlier you mentioned your friend that said if he were to be reincarnated, he would want to come back as a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about science a little bit, which is to me the scariest horror movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I love me some horror movies.
Absolutely.
But to me, science is one of those topics that it gets so far out there that at some point, like, I just start to spiral because, like, my little brain can't comprehend or fathom what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, black holes, right?
Uh-huh.
Last night, I'm watching YouTube with our other roommate, and I was asking him about black holes, and I said something about, well, doesn't a black hole suck everything into it?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, actually, no. And I said, well, that's weird because I thought they did.
Mm-hmm.
So he put me onto this YouTube video explaining what are black holes. So there's all kinds of black holes.
Uh-huh.
There's like three. There's like small black holes, there's supermassive black holes, and then there's like the most gigantic black holes in the universe.
Okay.
At the center of every galaxy, even ours, the Milky Way, there's a black hole, a supermassive black hole.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is Sagittarius A.
Mm-hmm.
Which also freaks me out because I am a Sagittarius,
Mm-hmm.
which I am very like theoretical. And so when you start to tell me things like that, I'm like, that's not okay. Because to me, that's too close to home. I start thinking like, well, maybe my existence has revolved around a black hole. Like, I start thinking like the math starts mathing for me.
1 and 1 is equal to 2 right now. Okay, heard.
So I'm like watching, I'm learning about the black holes and stuff, and it's starting to like, I'm not able to comprehend what's happening. Like, black holes bend time and space. And then at the center of a black hole is what they call the singularity.
Mm-hmm.
They can't tell you what the singularity is.
That's a killer in Dead by Daylight.
Oh, is it?
It's a robot killer. That's actually kind of funny.
Oh, that's cool.
He's like a half man, half robot. Because, like, he still has a subconscious mind, but he is a robot and he throws cameras out. Like, they're like these little pus balls. They look weird. But he can throw them up and then he can look through them and they're a camera.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And then he can, like, attack you with his stuff. But that's kind of interesting. I've never heard of singularity as, but that's funny that it's a horror game and the singularity is a killer because it's like, okay, wait, and it's a Dead by Daylight made up killer. So I'm like, okay, wait, did they're taking names from things that are like scary. That is kind of I mean, black holes are definitely terrifying.
Well,
the Earth could just get sucked up into one.
So
We would never even know.
actually, basically, so Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole in the middle of our galaxy, we rotate around that.
Mm-hmm.
Its energy or whatever it is, it pulls us. So
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly rotating, we're constantly moving around the sun, the planets all doing its little thing, and then you zoom out, and then all of that is rotating around supermassive black hole. You can get very close to a supermassive black hole,
Like it.
but at some point, if you cross the threshold, there's no going back. You will eventually be sucked into this black hole
Mm-hmm.
until you reach the singularity, which science, basically the stuff surrounding a supermassive black hole is called the Hawking's something. Because Stephen Hawking actually was the first to discover it. And he said there's a mass
Which I believe that.
around a black hole. And if you reach that point, there's no going back. You will get sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as close as we can ever get to it. Once you get to the middle of the supermassive black hole, you're in the singularity, which is literally science cannot tell you what it is. They can only tell you that it's there and it exists.
Which is scary as I don't like that only because of the fact that like I'm having to scratch and rub my face right now because this is crazy because I'm just like thinking of all the things. Because if you think of the Big Bang Theory, scientists know we don't know for sure. I can't say that we know. Scientists claim to know that that is how the existence of Earth is the Big Bang Theory.
Well, not Earth, but the
The
universe as a
universe,
whole.
yes, the universe as a whole. My bad. I'm sorry. I did misquote that. But yes, the universe as its whole. So what do you mean? What do you mean? You can't tell me what the ending is in there. What do you mean? What do you mean you know how we started? Everything started, but you can't tell me what is in there. Why? I guess because we haven't gone in, obviously, because nobody can come out. But I'm like, that's yeah, that is terrifying. And which I think about the universe all the time. You know me, I have space tattooed on me. So like I'm big into the universe and all that, but I don't think I've actually ever really sat down and thought about the black holes because of how scary that they are. Because I know that yeah, once we're in, we're in. There ain't coming out. So yeah, that's
And they can't
wow.
put they can't put an equation to it. They can't do math on it. Like it's just one of those things where it's like we can reach that point and it is what it is. At past that we cannot tell you.
Mm.
There is no answer.
So we had one of those like intrusive thoughts conversations a while ago. When I think about space, I think I have an intrusive thought that I think about all the time. And I think about if I was like an astronaut and I'm out there and I like was out of the space station. So like let's say I get to the space station and then I go out of the space station in my little suit, connected my little umbilical cord. And what if something happens where that umbilical cord gets snapped and now I'm just floating in space? What do I do? Like that, because you can't just swim back to the space station because that's not how it works up there. Like, and then at some point, if I just start traveling away from it because I'm trying to get back to it, but now I'm moving in the other direction, that I have literally thought about that for so long about because we were talking actually I think about it at work. We talk about it at work a lot because of the astronauts that were stuck in space for so long. I just sit there and I think about that. I'm like, I couldn't imagine being stuck in a place I don't know. Like
Well, you're completely helpless. There would
like,
be absolutely nothing you could do. Have you seen the movie with Sandra Bullock, Gravity?
no. Have not watched almost any of the video or any of the movies because there's another like Interstellar I think is another one that is like
Yes.
based I don't watch those movies because of my spiraling in my head because those will trigger the psychosis in me of that I don't want to see.
Well, Interstellar, I will say, is a beautiful movie.
Which I have heard.
It will bring you to tears. And the soundtrack, Hans Zimmer, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like the piano, the instrumentals, it's so gorgeous. But it's more about space travel
Mm-hmm.
and time and space and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And where Gravity is more of like an action-packed movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it is the idea that you are an astronaut and you got stuck in space, but she was detached from the space station and she's just floating in the
Oh, so
void.
that's a real thing.
Well, it's a real
It was
movie.
like a movie, yeah. Like,
Yeah, it never happened in real life.
so maybe I've like heard of that movie, and that's why that
Well,
fear comes into my brain
and she
thinking of.
makes it back, but there's like this
Ugh.
whole like thing that has to happen.
Yeah, that's
There's like space matter floating in space, and she like has to grab hold of it, and then eventually like it will like bring her back close to the space station. Like it's a whole movie. It is very scary. The entire time my heart is beating 120 miles per hour. I'm
yeah,
sweating. I'm having a heart attack.
yeah. I've also learned that in the line of work that I do, time is not real. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but like I work with time daily. You know my job. I work in. I mean, I don't mind talking about my job. I work in the news industry. I work with live television. So we are constantly counting down time, and we are constantly looking at time as it's moving. I am literally counting time backwards as we're moving forwards. And what I've learned in doing this the last 8 years is that time really is not a thing. It is something that we have made up because time does not make sense. When we put things into like our rundowns for our shows and we put it goes onto a time scale, it will tell us the time and it'll like it can tell us that we're going to be 2 minutes over what we're allotted. But when we get done with that show, we will be right on time. And so it's like, I've learned that time does not mean anything. So like I can only imagine that in space it really means nothing. And then of course going into the black hole like you said that time gets shifted and everything gets moved. I can only imagine what time is like up there like
Hmm.
cuz time here already crazy. Time really does not make sense on earth and I could go into a whole like deep discussion of how time is not real and I absolutely believe that like we see clocks because that's how we're fed time, but that is not real time. So, yeah, that is crazy to think about that you could get sucked into that black hole and then, well, for one, you're not even going to know what happened if that happens. But for two, like,
Instant death.
oh, for sure. I can only imagine there's obviously nothing that will let you breathe.
Well,
And it'll also just crush your fucking, you from the outside in.
exactly. And speaking of time, so we actually can kind of like calculate
Mm-hmm.
when humanity will cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
They say that the sun will essentially run out of what is it? Hydrogen or whatever it is, the gas that it uses in 6 billion years. And at that point, essentially what will happen is the sun will begin to expand, and as it expands it will engulf like several planets in our solar system,
Mm-hmm.
including Earth, and then it will literally just like explode, but it will rebound back into what they call like a white dwarf
Mm-hmm.
or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially it just becomes like this little like non it's nothing at that point, really.
Yeah.
And then the planets that didn't get engulfed, they would just be flung out into the universe or whatever, and they would go on a trajectory and go somewhere. But they would be affected because they would have been like scorched and burned, and it would have changed the landscape of those planets and all kinds of stuff. But we know that like 6 billion years from now, 6 billion years.
Shakespeare. Oh fuck. Whew.
But we kind of know, like, okay, we can't prevent that from happening.
Mhm.
It's gonna happen. I don't even know if humanity will still be here and alive.
Yeah, I feel like we'll be ceased to exist here almost. Maybe. But yeah, I don't know. 6 billion years. For one, I'm not gonna make it.
Exactly.
So I won't even get to know, which there's that whole I don't know if I'd want to see that happen, but it would be kind of interesting to see what leads up to it, I guess, because things will be happening. I can only imagine that the earth will start changing in drastic ways if the sun is starting to pull things into it. You know what I mean? Our
Mhm.
sun will not look like the sun it looks like to us right now.
Well, they say if we were alive at that time, essentially what we would see is we would no longer see the sky. So when we look up, we would just see engulfed in red,
Take me out already.
and it would be so close to us that everything that the sun touches essentially would just be vaporized.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd actually want to be around for that because, no, take me out. Because, like, we live in the most seen area. You can walk out our door, look up, and you see the earth for earth. Like you see it for miles. So to come out my door and no longer see up there what I see, yeah, that would honestly, that would send me to hell. Because yeah, because I mean, I went to Ohio of all places and looked up, and all I saw were trees above me, and I freaked out and had a panic attack. So I couldn't imagine if I look up and I see glowing red, even see a cloud in sight. No, baby, just go ahead and just take me the fuck out. Actually, expire right now. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, I mean, science as a whole is just
And that's
terrifying.
just a little piece of science we're talking about. We're talking about the little, like one of the tiniest pebbles in science. There's so much stuff about science and about things that we just like don't understand.
Hmm.
Like, but I don't know, man. I think we're all just one big science experiment at this point. And also, but thinking about it, if that's all gonna happen in 6 billion years, it's all gonna just cease to exist. What the fuck was the point? That's
Yeah.
where it all comes back to. It always comes back to what the fuck was the point?
Right. We were sitting here making a big deal about people. We didn't think people could be transgender. Baby, people are going to be vaporized. People are going to be genderless.
Baby, we're gonna be shish kebabs. We're now gonna be identifying as pieces of food. We are done. We're cooked, literally and figuratively. And you want to be mad because someone wants to live their life as freely as they can because we don't know when it won't be here. Oh, baby, there are bigger fish to fry in the ocean.
We told you we were spiraling this episode. So if you've managed to stay the course, bless you. Because
Bless.
this has been an episode, a wild episode. And these are merely just fragments of our imagination. They're fragments of our daily thought process. I mean, these are things that we think about all of the time.
Y'all don't understand how often we go into one another's room going, did you know? And we pop off with the most chaotic thing you can think of in your brain for that moment. And then we walk out like as if it was just something you do normally.
Yeah, so constantly spiraling. It's amazing, and I'll say this all the time, how we are not locked up in a padded room. But I think honestly, our sense of humor really
Get us
saves
through.
us and gets us through, and obviously all of the love that we have to give. Like
Absolutely.
to me, I feel like you can get through life as long as you have a good attitude and you just love people.
Absolutely. And I think it's okay to break down.
Oh
It's
yeah,
okay to have a breakdown every now and again. We've had plenty.
yeah,
We will have plenty more, but I think that gets us through it too. Is sometimes there is a breaking point. Sometimes there is a point where okay, this is just too much, and we have to just tone it back a bit and okay, let's just laugh about it instead. Because if we don't, then we're gonna really be hysterical.
right.
So
Then a lot of stuff is just nothing you can do about it, and is no matter how hard you try, you're not going to change the outcome.
absolutely,
So, and that ties us back into like, life. We're here. It's a miracle. Thank God. Thank Buddha. Thank Mother Universe. Whoever it is that
yeah,
you want to
whoever you
thank.
look to, yeah,
And death, my mother always says, that is a debt that we all have to pay. And it is one of the most fair things about life because no matter who you are, race, status, wealth, nobody can escape it.
absolutely.
So I guess if you think of it like that, it's kind of reassuring and it's kind of,
It's something we will all go through,
mhm.
which is wild to think about too, because there's so many things in life that we won't go through the same. But that is one thing that every single human that passes this earth will go through. Okay, so last thing to talk about, kind of to hit on. If I die first, let's talk about that. What we would want at our funerals and for remembrances of us. So I'll start.
Mhm.
If I die first, at my funeral, y'all better be partying. There better not be a fucking sad eye. Y'all can cry. That's okay. I understand. Losing me is kind of sad. But please, party. Please. Please put on go to my Spotify playlist. You know I got bangers in there, and just start playing music and get those people on their feet. And please just celebrate the life that I had here, because you know that I loved life so much, and I would rather you be happy than sad that I'm not here. Because baby, I hope when I pass through that area of life to death, I hope I get to see everybody I've been waiting on. So let me tell you, I'm gonna be having a party of my life up there. So please have a party of my life down here.
So would you be against like us creating like t-shirts with your face on it that say "Fly high, baby girl"?
No,
Like,
don't do all that. Don't do all that. Don't wear black, even though that's all I wear is black. Only let me wear black. The rest of you better be in pretty colors. Brighten it up, because I'm only the sad bitch, not y'all. No t-shirts though, please. No remembrance of me.
all of the Facebook frames.
Oh goodness.
I'm gonna create your remembrance profile with just your face in the clouds.
I guess it wouldn't fucking matter, honestly. If I'm
Right.
really dead, it don't fucking matter if y'all do it or not. But I just feel like weird thinking about my face being on someone's shirt and I'm no longer here. It's different if there's two differences. It's different if I'm famous, cause I sit there and think about like Selena, one of the most famous tragic artist death that we know, and
Hmm.
her face is on so many things, t-shirts, blah blah blah. That's different. She's being notarized, she's being remembered. That was a artist, that was a global icon, so of course like her face should be remembered. Another one, obviously, if it was like violence and you're remembering that person, I understand that. But baby, if I died from a heart attack at the age of 42 or something, don't put my face on that. Please don't put my face on that t-shirt. There's no reason for that. Nobody needs to see my face, because then I feel like people are gonna be like, "Oh, what happened? Oh, well, she just died of a heart attack. Oh, okay."
That makes me think of like Jesus Christ and how we put crosses everywhere. Like we tattoo them on our bodies, we
Mhm.
hang them in our homes and everything. And it's like, okay, the day Jesus is resurrected and comes back to earth, he's going to show up and just see all these crosses everywhere. Can you talk about PTSD? Because
Trauma.
that is literally what they crucified me on. Why is that hanging above your toilet? Like,
Just showing it off like
that would be like literally the victims of Sandy Hook coming back and everyone just had AK-47s hanging on the wall of their house.
what in the I've never actually thought of it like that, and that's actually a really good thought. Like, what the hell?
what, what the heliante?
He really gonna come back and be like,
Huh?
"That's how they killed me, right?"
Yeah.
Like, what?
Mhm.
Oh, we are so unserious as people, like as humans. That really just blew my mind, though. I'm sitting here thinking about all the crosses in the world. Like, you're not wrong. I got a cross. We got crosses tattooed on us. And now that I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, dang, that's the way that man died.
Mm-hmm. So if I die first, like I said, hopefully I know that I'm gonna die.
Mhm,
I don't want a funeral. I want a celebration of life.
mhm.
So I want to be there at my own party.
Okay.
I want to be able to
Like a
experience
funeral
it.
before.
Correct.
Okay. I've
So
actually seen that. I've seen people like post that, and I
yeah,
actually love that.
yeah. You're there, you're present. I mean, even if I'm sick, I don't care. Throw some foundation on me, put some concealer under them eyes,
Let's take
and
some pictures.
yeah, we're gonna take some pictures. I'm gonna take a couple shots. I'm gonna throw that ass back. Like I want to be there. I want to see everyone. I want to hug everybody, tell them that I love them for real, like
Yeah.
face to face. And you guys just
And I want to feel that love back. I definitely understand that, because like, why do you need to come all show me the love when I'm already dead and I can't feel that love in the
exactly.
presence? Like, I would rather have that one last hoorah with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
seeing how loved I was in the flesh and knowing that. Because I don't know, maybe that would be a more peaceful ending, you know? At
Yeah,
the end, who knows? You may have that conscious mind of, I was surrounded by every single person that I loved.
yeah. Well, my mom says this too all the time. She's like, "Don't bring me flowers to my grave when I
Mhm.
die." send me flowers while I'm alive
Mm-hmm.
so that I can enjoy them.
Cool.
So that's kind of where I think about that is I'm like, I would rather be celebrated while I'm alive
Mm-hmm.
than after I die. Obviously, I have no control after I die. People are going to do what they want to do.
Exactly.
If you still want to have a funeral, traditional funeral, whatever, feel free. Like, I'm not going to be throwing thunderbolts from the heavens mad at you because of that. But
Yo, but if I can fuck with the weather like that, baby, I'm gonna be fucking with it. Tornado, snowstorm. I'm gonna throw it all down on you.
well, that was unsettling, but also kind of cathartic.
Absolutely. Just remember, if you're spiraling about the meaning of life, you're not alone. We're right there with you, crying in a bathrobe and Googling how big is a black hole now.
As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends and family. And leave us a review because we need some form of external validation before we all die.
Until next time, don't panic, but also maybe panic a little. And if you're ever having the thoughts of impending doom, delete that. Ba-dum, boom, boom.
We're
We're